Hi, I'm William Pitts, junior at LaGrange High School. The LaGrange Youth Council and Success by Six want you to know that just 20 minutes of reading every day can make a big difference in a child's success in school. Today, I'll be reading The Book Boats In by Cynthia Cotton. One sunny day, Jesse King and his pa drove into town. As the wagon bumped along the main street, Jesse looked at all the boats tied up along the canal wharf. All of a sudden, he grabbed Pa's sleeve. "Pa, stop!" Pa reined in Jack hard. "Good gravy, son," he said. "Whatever is the matter?" Jesse pointed at a long boat. On the side of the cabin was painted, "R. Edwards, Library and Bookstore." "The book boat's in," he said. "Can I go?" Pa nodded. "Go on," he said. "I'll come get you soon as I get that new axe handle." Jesse jumped down and took off running to the wharf. Mr. Edwards was just hanging up a sign that said open. "Whoa there," he said as Jesse bounded over the gangplank and onto the deck. "You know the rule." Jesse rubbed his hands hard on his pants, then held them out. Mr. Edwards inspected them, palms and backs. Jesse held his breath. Mr. Edwards grinned. "You'll do. Go on in." Inside, the walls of the cabin were lined with shelves full of books. Chairs were placed near the windows so folks could sit and read. A table held even more books. Jesse loved books. He'd read every single one on the shelf behind Miss Howard's desk at school, some of them twice. As he browsed, a red cover on the table caught his eye. He picked up the book, The Swiss Family Robinson. Of all Miss Howard's books, this was his favorite. A story of shipwreck and adventure. "How much for this?" he asked. 20 cents, Mr. Edwards said, "and worth every penny. It's been read some, but it's in real good condition." "Jesse?" Pa poked his head into the cabin. "Time to go." Jesse showed him the book. "Look, Pa, it's a real good one." Pa shook his head. "Not today. That axe handle costs more than I thought it would." Jesse ran his fingers over the red cover, then put the book on the table. "When will you be back?" he asked Mr. Edwards. "A week from today," Mr. Edwards said. "And that'll be it for a good while." "I'd sure like to have that book for my own," Jesse said, as the wagon jounced towards home. "Maybe you could earn some money before the boat comes back," Pa said. "Ask around." Back home, Jesse climbed up to his sleeping loft and took his treasure box from a little shelf nailed to the wall. In the box was a sparkly stone, a brass button with an eagle on it, and a little leather pouch that held 3 copper pennies. 2 he'd earned picking apples and 1 he'd found on the street, and a silver dime given to him on his 10th birthday by Grandfather King. 13 cents. He needed 7 more. On Monday after school, Jesse went to the general store. "Do you have any work I could do?" he asked the owner, Miss Blake. She thought for a moment. "I haven't had time to sweep the floor today," she said. "I can do that," Jesse said. Jesse swept every inch of the store's floor. He even swept the porch and wiped the front windows with a rag he'd found behind the counter. When he was finished, Miss Blake paid him a penny for sweeping and an extra halfpenny for the windows. Jesse worked every day after school. He cleaned harnesses at the livery stable, chopped wood for the tavern, and ran 2 errands for Dr. Porter. When he went home, he had chores and studying to do. There was no time to play, but Jesse didn't mind. By the end of the week, he had 17.5 cents. It's not near enough, he told Ma, but maybe if I tell Mr. Edwards how hard I've worked, he'd sell me the book for that much. I wonder what Mr. Edwards is going to do. Saturday morning after breakfast, Jesse said, "Can we go into town?" "Chores first," Pa said. "There are potatoes to be dug and stones to be cleared from that patch I want to plant next." Jesse worked all morning and into the afternoon, stopping only for a short noon meal. At last, Pa said, "That's enough for today. Let's wash. I'll hitch up Jack." Jesse scrubbed his hands and face. He stuffed the leather pouch into his pocket, and he climbed up on the wagon seat beside Pa. All the way to town, Jesse felt fidgety, inside and out. What if the boat didn't come today? What if it had already come and gone? "Can't Jack go any faster?" he asked. "Don't worry," Pa said, patting Jesse's knee. "We'll get there." When they got to town, Jesse raced down to the wharf. There was the book boat, and Mr. Edwards was talking to one of the dock hands. "Catch your breath, son," Mr. Edwards said. "I'm here until tomorrow. Let's see your hands." Jesse held out his hands. "All right," Mr. Edwards said. "Go on in. I'll be right there." Jesse went straight to the table, but the red-covered book wasn't there. Not on the table, not on the shelves. "Mr. Edwards," he said, "the book I wanted. Where is it?" "Gone," Mr. Edwards said. "I sold it yesterday." Jesse turned his head, squeezing back tears. After all his hard work? How about this instead? Mr. Edwards pulled out a brown-covered book from beneath the counter. Jesse shook his head. "No thanks. Just take a look." To be polite, Jesse took the book. A smile began at the corners of his mouth and grew bigger and bigger. "The Swiss Family Robinson," he said. "I got it in a trade," Mr. Edwards said. "It's been read more than the other one, but because it's more worn, I can let you have it for less." "How much?" Mr. Edwards rubbed his chin. "How does 14 cents sound?" "Done!" Jesse counted 14 cents into Mr. Edwards' hand. "Thank you," he added. Mr. Edwards put the money in a little box. Then he pushed a quill pen and a little bottle of ink across the counter. "Better put your name on it," he said. Jesse dipped the quill into the ink. Opening the book, he wrote inside the cover, "Jesse King. His book, 1835. Thank you for reading along with me today. I hope you had fun. See you next time.